Hello people! An update on Project 2 from Alta. I've got a feeling it's shaping up to be something special that we're all gonna be enjoying together. So I wanted to keep you all into the loop. Project 2 is an extraction game like Dark and Darker, but they've been making some interesting changes since my last video. So things are progressing quite fast, levels are coming together, characters are taking shape, and we've seen some changes to the gameplay loop. The AI is still pretty basic on the stage, but there has been some improvements. Enemies now wander around, patrolling and scouting the area. Not much else has changed with them, but they've got this new skeleton character, and it's like the club man. It's wearing a big club and that's about it. He's not that exciting, but it's a start. They reworked the skeleton archer. Arrows can now stick in your body, and they're able to do a sort of like a burst fire ability now. I personally hope for a physical skill check in the future, to be able to dodge the incoming arrows physically by stepping out of the way as soon as you see the skill check mark, because right now they look very difficult to deal with, alone at least. They've also started revealing a little bit more of the gameplay loop, so you'll find these pillars around the level that will point you towards the boss. It feels a little bit like Hunt Showdown with the clues, where they point towards the boss, and when you find the boss you just kill him, you grab his loot and you extract. But right now the boss is just a blob or a bit of a cube. It looks really placeholdery. It's not gonna be the final boss, but eventually we'll be facing something more legit boss-like, I hope. They also shared some details on the skill tree, so you start out as a recruit, and from there out you build towards what class you want to be. So if you want to go towards a rogue, you keep getting dex points along the way. If you go tank, you keep getting vitality points along the way, but you start out as a basic recruit and you get your stats based on that towards the class that you're picking. It's very straightforward for now, but I think it will fit the gameplay style pretty well. So now for the atmosphere, they're going with a dark, moody look. You'll actually need to use your light to see what's around you. We already kind of knew this, but you know, they're kind of forcing it down our throats. No, that's not true. They started working on some of the consumable and usable items as well. First one teased was sort of like a force push bomb. Then we had the taco, jokingly representing the first healing item. It's subject to change, of course. And the bear trap. All these items are accessible from the newly added tool belt. And I really hope all these items will have VR mechanics added to them, like the bear traps needing to be set by pulling the teeth apart and then putting it down on the ground, but I'm sure Alta has their ideas for that already as we speak. The art direction is coming together nicely. They've made these cool decisions like giving enemies glowing eyes in the dark. It looks creepy and it's nice. And they've introduced some new environments, which I'll show here. So one big surprise was seeing a nearly finished character. It had a mix of like gritty and cartoony vibes. Think of World of Warcraft, how it still holds up with its stylized graphics. It gives them the flexibility to keep developing without it looking dated, because it's stylized. So the weapons are coming along nicely too. They're also stylized, very chunky. I feel really good looking at them. I like it. Visually, I like this kind of stuff. The details in it, like the textures, the scratches, the little nicks out of the blades, all that stuff on top of stylized blades, it always scratches the right part of my brain. So I'm really in love with the style so far. The placeholder enemies and their 3 FPS combat still hurts my eyes, but those are placeholders, so I'm just looking forward to seeing more polished versions of these enemies and how their interactions will be and their combat moves and stuff like that. And then there's the social hub they're planning. This really excites me. Instead of just logging into a menu, you log into a social area where you can actually interact with other players before jumping into the game. This is something VR games need more of. A space to chat and connect without the pressure of combat. You also have a little home area here for managing your gear, maybe even showing off your loot down the line, maybe Alta, maybe showing off loot to other people, maybe, which is a big part of extraction shooters, in my opinion. And I know this is not an extraction shooter, but it's also an extraction medieval game. So, for now, the social hubs and layout and the NPCs are pretty rough. But you can interact with the NPCs and visit the quest giver, and maybe you even get interrupted by someone yelling in your ear while selling some stuff. Can't wait. So as always, I always fire questions at the developers. This time my question was, take for example Sail or Straight and the melee combat that happens in that game. How are you planning to manage the movement speed of players? And to which they thankfully answered, we are managing it with a base low movement speed and dex if you want to be faster. They also teased a little bit of the new fire effect on a bonfire in a little GIF they sent in the Discord, and it looks really cool if you ask me. And of course I asked about the home customization. They did like the ideas of having customizable loot organization, so having the axes on your wall and all having the stash of gold over here, and not being a grid. So that's already a good thing to hear, that they actually plan to do that themselves a little bit. Alright, that's where Project 2 is right now. And I'll keep you updated when the next devlog drops, or maybe a bunch of devlogs, because I cannot just update you on one devlog at a time. So if you're interested in the development of this game and you want more info, go visit their own channel. They're creating devlogs every couple of weeks to update us on the game, and I'm just doing this so you can get it in a nutshell. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and bye bye.